Hey guys, what's going on? Roundedtiktak here, and today we're bringing you the long requested, long awaited, because just look at this video. Oh, it did really well, but look at that thumbnail. I had no idea what I was doing back then, and this is over 2 years ago. So we need to update this thing, and I was figuring since it's season 10, we can do 10 weapons for 10 seasons, season 1 through season 10, what is currently the best in Fortnite. We do not know what season 11 is going to bring. It could be terrible, it could be amazing. We don't know what llamas they're going to bring back, we don't know what weapons are coming. So in case you may not have any of these weapons, you'll have a chance, if you see one to pop up, that you definitely know to grab it. We've narrowed down this list to 10 different weapons. Well, 20 weapons. Each category has 2. 1 pick and 1 honorable mention. There are over 330 range schematics in Fortnite if you include different rarities, etc. That is a ton of stuff to go through, and we've narrowed 330 down to 20. So we're going to start off, we're going to jump right into it. The categories are auto shotguns, regular shotguns, auto snipers, snipers, rocket launchers, pistols, SMGs, assault rifles, LMGs, and burst assault rifles. Those are your 10 categories, and let's just jump into the video. There's a ton of stuff to go over. We're going to talk real quick about each one and why it's so good. Let's get into this. All right, so I recorded this video already. It's too long. So we have to find a faster way to do this. So number 1, this is my opinion, but an informed opinion on 2 years of gameplay and experience and playing this game nonstop, plus my community and feedback from other communities as well. That's where we're getting this information from. If your gun isn't on this list, tell me about it in the comments below. Let me know your argument for your weapon, but we're gonna try the fastest way. So we're gonna start with really small descriptions of the bottom of the list, and then as we go on, we're going to talk about each weapon more individually. With 330 guns, where do we start? Well, how about we start with auto snipers? The runner-up position is going to the Dethrone 9000. You usually run auto snipers in endurance or something like that with Zenith. The reason you're running it is for crowd control. Zenith can freeze a target. So you're looking for snipers that do a lot of damage in fast and shoot multiple times. You're not looking at something like an old Betsy. The more times you can shoot equals the more times you can crit, equals the more times you have a chance to freeze the target. Personal opinion, I like the Dethrone 9000 more, but everybody else told me that the absolute winner must go to the Crankshot. The Crankshot is the same thing. It has a scope, which I'm not a fan of, but it shoots a ton of bullets with a fire rate of 6 and a magazine size of 24. Basically every other shot, if you run a totally rockin' out build, you'll have a chance to freeze and you'll lock down any big target that might be moving towards you. Next up, let's talk about auto shotguns. The runner-up is going to be the Room Sweeper. This gets a big advantage for being a gun that you can pick up right now. You roll it something like this, double crit damage with totally rocking out. With a magazine size of 35, you throw Light Show in there. Now you're looking at 43 bullets, a ton of damage. Sustained DPS is the name of the game here. You're up close and personal. Think of this as a mini boss killer. If you run this on Raptor, you will absolutely destroy. However, I will be crucified in the comments if I do not give the main prize here to the staccato shotgun. I don't like this gun at all, but I'm not going to lie and say that the numbers don't support the damage numbers behind it. It does a ton of work with a magazine size of 15 and a fire rate of 4, a little less than the Room Sweeper. You still have a potential to do a ton of damage. Plus, it has the dance mechanic on it. It's less sustained DPS than the Room Sweeper, but it's still really good. The real kicker here is that its range is 3,500, more of an assault rifle range, allowing for some really niche plays to where you can use a shotgun and a shotgun hero and still not have to get too close in case there's like exploding death burst. Next up, let's talk about actual snipers. The runner-up is gonna go to the old Betsy. The old Betsy used to be the king of the pile, the best gun in the game for any high-level endurance or Frostnite. It really started to shine in Frostnite with an impact of 11,000. As long as you get a crit or you hit a headshot, you will knock back, stun, or fling back even smashers. This is very key in Frostnite, especially because you needed the extra time for them to get to your base and break that impact guard. Regardless of those facts, its headshot damage is out of this world at 176,000. If you can crit on top of that and really do a ton of damage. It falls off because of magazine size, and you have to reload after every shot. Plus, a certain character in the game, a certain hero in the game got nerfed, so reload builds, burst builds did get hit pretty hard. But the number one, that was your runner-up. The number one is the Neon Sniper. This cannot be replaced. It is the best weapon for defenders in the entire game. It has insane wall hack utility for endurance, regular missions. You do not need to use this on a particular build. If you're a constructor and just sitting on top of your base, you can pick off priority targets such as lobbers, flingers, blasters. You can put into work for some smashers before they make it to your base. It is a fantastic weapon, not to be overlooked, and you can get it right now. On to regular shotguns. First, we're going to take a look at the Woofer. The Woofer, if a certain shotgun didn't exist, I would say this is the number one shotgun in the game. It has a ton of impact, a ton of damage. It has the dance mechanic on it. You don't have to play a shotgun hero to get the best bang for this buck. No matter what hero you're playing, if it will one-shot small enemies, causing the dance mechanic, allowing you to run away, build, or reload. And I hit for 1.4 million damage just the other day on this weapon. It does a ton of work, ton of damage. It would be number one if this weapon didn't exist. Your number one spot for regular shotguns is going to the Pulsar 9000 with an incredible amount of damage at 90k. With totally rocking out and the proper build, you're looking at 950,000 damage per chance to crit per ring that pierces. If you guys don't know what the Pulsar 9000 is, it shoots these rings that are one tile wide. So if you're looking for tunnel killing, this is the shotgun to go. It's still effective without a shotgun build, but of course will be more effective with one. It does a ridiculous amount of damage. Each ring on every time it hits a target has a chance to crit. It does so much damage. It clears out tunnels so fast. And the big kicker here is that it's a tile wide. Think about that. And we'll go from there. Next up, the only category with 3, because each one has their own specific purpose. So there is no winner here. It's all 3 runners up. And that, of course, we're talking about rocket launchers. The number one is going to be the Santa's Little Helper. For DPS and damage and knockback and impact, this is the go-to rocket launcher. The other ones do the same things, but differently. The damage on this is out of control. I believe when this first came out, I hit for 4 million on a crit. Of course, we were trying to get the highest numbers possible. It has a decent range at 512. It has crappy durability, but the damage and impact at 25,000 is definitely well worth the trade-off. The next up on the list is going to be the Deca Blaster. The Deca Blaster, the only real reason it's on here are for you endurance enthusiasts. This is the only rocket launcher in the game that doesn't blow up propanes at all. It has lower impact, but the fact that it doesn't blow up propanes and has a dance mechanic is really fantastic, especially for endurance. But if I had to choose a king of the pile and probably a weapon that stays in my hotbar all the time, sorry about that, it's gotta go to the Deatomizer 9000. When this came out, I raved about it. It's broken. I one-shot a smasher because I got lucky. The orb that it shoots can technically go inside a smasher, explode inside the smasher, and all those particles can do damage all individually. It's absurd. Plus, it has 43 shots. If you can compare that to something like the Santa's Little Helper at 15, you can keep this in your loadout and not burn through it in one game. So there you go. The Santa's Little Helper, the Deca Blaster, and the Deatomizer 9000, if I had to choose a king. Next up, we're going to talk about pistols. The runner-up is gonna go to the Ginger Blaster. Now, the Ginger Blaster and the Last Word are basically the same gun. However, the Ginger Blaster does two things that, in my opinion, are better. It has a tiny bit of a slower fire rate than the Last Word, and it has to stick physical, but you also get that great utility perk of the healing gumdrops. And the healing gumdrops do really, really well with Blast from the Past. This is probably the second or third best weapon you can use for a defender. You can stick it on a defender and they can kill targets and have those gumdrops strewn about the map as you're running around killing things. Plus they scale off Blast from the Past. It does a ton of damage. It's fantastic. However, I think the best pistol in the game actually is going to go to the Hot Mix. The Hot Mix. There's reasons why this is so good. First of all, I think these numbers are incorrect. The gun hits like an absolute truck. If you're playing Beetlejuice and have the proper loadout, each crit you're looking at 250,000 damage, give or take, with the proper loadout. It shoots 2 bullets per time, so around 500,000 damage per button press, but it gets better than that. It has a hefty magazine size of 30, 2 bullets per, so 15 shots, a range of 2,000, which isn't that great, but it does have the dance effect, and we know how crowd control in this game is super important for late game stuff. That's why push pads and floor launchers are the best traps in the game, probably even better than gas traps. But the cool thing about this pistol is, even though it doesn't say it on paper or anything, it almost acts like an impact brake. There's something about this gun. The impact is 1800, and for a pistol, that's not that great. However, there's something about the weapon that almost guarantees breaking the impact guard of an enemy. Smasher, doesn't matter. It will do this weird pushback stun effect. It's not listed anywhere, but it exists, and because of that, I'm giving it the #1 spot. Next up are SMGs. This is another tough one. I'm going to tell you right now, between the Bobcat, the Silent Spectre, the Blastatron Mini, the Rat-a-tat, etc., all of those SMGs, they have like 0.3 to 0.5 second differences in kill times. So what it really comes down to is personal preference. I personally like the Blastatron Mini, but for the runner-up, we're gonna give it to the Silent Spectre. Out of all of those guns that we just mentioned, this one is the fastest time to kill. It has a slower range, or smaller range though, slightly, and a little bit less accurate. But the increased crit chance on this weapon is absurd. It adds up to a ton of damage. The runner-up is going to the Silent Spectre. But in my opinion, the #1 SMG in the game currently is definitely 100% the Blastatron Mini. The Blastatron Mini does an absurd amount of damage. 35 bullets in the magazine, a range of 4,000 on a super accurate bullet spread. The impact is terrible, but it doesn't matter. The damage is just out of control. The cool thing about this weapon is if you put Light Show, Mad Tidings, and Startup into the build, you'll do assault rifle levels of damage on a pistol because the range is so high. This is actually higher than most assault rifles that are in the game, unless it's like a specialty assault rifle. So SMGs, Silent Spectre runner-up, and I gotta give the #1 SMG to the Blastatron Mini. Another category that's gonna get a lot of flack, the assault rifles. Now, doing my best to keep personal preference out of this, based on a certain time that I did a endurance event for the sole purpose of me trying to kill mini bosses by myself. That was the goal. We would slow field them, keep them pushed back in tunnels, and with Totally Rocking Out, using Sledgehammer, try to see exactly how much damage each one of these guns do. And based on that test alone, really is what we're going to get our results from. The runner-up, in my opinion, I'm going to get crucified for this, is the Wraith. Now, the thing about the Wraith is it's still, again, with these weapons, now that we're at the top of this list, these weapons, the time to kills on them are, like I said, 0.3, 0.2 second differences. They're absurd. All of them are fantastic. These are the best weapons in the game if you can get your hands on them. The Wraith. The reason this weapon is still so good is because it's a military weapon, so it has a higher innate crit chance, period. That's number one. Number two, it has a range of 5,000. One of, I don't know if it's the highest, but one of the highest range assault rifles in the entire game. A huge magazine size at 52, a decent fire rate, and the first 10 shots or so are pinpoint accurate. However, it loses points because after those 10 shots, your accuracy is all over the place, and it's very hard to shoot things down. Where this weapon shines is if a taker's coming from afar in endurance or something like that, you can take him out pretty quickly and then switch to something like your number one assault rifle, at least in my opinion, is the Pain Train. The Pain Train is absurd. Look at the rolls that you can get on this weapon. In fact, let's see if we can put another damage roll on here. I'm pretty sure you can. With totally rocking out, it being a game changer. You can roll triple crit damage and a damage roll and still have a 50% chance to crit with totally rocking out. During that test of pure damage on mini bosses at level 300 plus in endurance, the highest sustained DPS I got with an assault rifle was the Pain Train. The accuracy of this thing is fantastic. It doesn't move, period. It's one of the guns that if you hold your button down on the mouse, the reticle will bounce up a little bit and it will stay there. It does a ridiculous amount of damage. It has decent impact for an assault rifle. I promise you, if you don't believe me, go into endurance, use Sledgehammer, use a startup build, and just do work. Go do that, and then come back and yell at me in the comments that I got it wrong. Next up, we're going to talk about the LMGs. Now, the LMGs are iffy. They used to be much better. There used to be the best one in the game that was arguably a runner-up for the best gun in the game. But it's still good, it's just not as strong. The runner-up for the LMGs is going to be the Candy Corn Launcher, or the Candy Corn LMG. It has to stay physical. It loses points for that. But you can roll it with crit damage, so it gains points for that. It has a good range. It's pretty accurate. The reload times are kind of ridiculous, but the damage is insane. Again, totally rocking out. Game changer. This is also probably in that top 3 category for best defender weapon. Having those candy corns drop on the map, allowing you to pick them up and eat them while you're fighting is very, very helpful. But I still think the king is the Mercury LMG. If you didn't know, the Mercury LMG can roll a multitude of ways. You can put, I think, 4 magazine size on it. You can put 3 crit damages on it. It has an explosion that does 70% of your base damage. If you run startup and Mad Tidings, the magazine size is 175. You will have that bonus damage for 3/4 of your magazine, hitting for a truck, plus it does AoE damage. Before the nerf, it used to hit for 1.7 million. It was crazy. It's a little worse now, and LMGs aren't really the creme de la creme of weapons in this game, but you can also get it right now because it's part of the Neon set. If you're looking for an LMG, if you have Nutcracker or the other guy and you want to play an LMG style build, then this is, in my opinion, the best of the best, even beating out the Swan with its innate extra crit chance. Now, the top of the pile. We are currently at 20 weapons, 2 per each, 3 for rocket launchers. Burst assault rifles. Now, you probably aren't surprised which one it's gonna be. Let's be honest here, we're talking about the bundle bus. Nothing in the game comes close to this thing, not even a little bit. Quick honorable mention for the Gamatron 9000. It's a fantastic gun, accurate as all hell, does a decent amount of damage, has the explosion perk on the 6th. It does a ton of damage. The Gamatron is a good gun, but it comes nowhere near the utility, the damage, the burst potential of the bundle bus. You can run it triple crit damage if you want to, again with totally rocking out. That perk is a game changer, by the way. If you haven't noticed, you can run it triple crit damage. You can play it on a multitude of characters, constructors, ninjas, doesn't matter. It still does a ton of damage. It has the explosion perk. You can run it physical and still get some energy damage in there. The bundle bus is, and seems like forever will be, the best weapon in the game. There you go, guys. 10 weapons in 20 minutes, give or take. I did it as fast as I possibly could. We went over each one of them, why they are good, what makes them good, why they're the top of the pack. Let me know in the comments below if you think I got it wrong. If you think that, let me know why. I would love to have a conversation with you. I'd love to talk about it, and we can continue to explore the top 10 weapons down there. If you guys made it to the end of the video, if you made it here to this little spiel, I greatly appreciate it. I really do. Thank you so much for all the love and all the support. Season 10 has been really rough for content creation. Funny enough, some of the absolute best weapons we have ever had have come out for Season 10, but still, on the whole content front, there really wasn't too much to cover. But like I said, if you made it this far, thank you so much. If you guys like streams, I stream 5 days a week over at twitch.tv/Roundedtiktak. We would love to have you come stop by, hang out, be part of the pack, part of the family. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like button. It really helps out the channel a ton. I post videos like this, trap tunnel guides, and weapon reviews constantly. And lastly, if you guys want to support what I do or the stream or the YouTube channel, you can always use creator code OOTikTak00. It costs you nothing and it helps me out. Here's to 10 seasons of Fortnite, and here's to 10 more. Hopefully season 11 will be a little better. TikTak out.